Mediocrity happens by default. Maximization happens by design. Our guest today, Greg Scheinman, has had 2 seven-figure exits, built companies. One of them was acquired by Michael Eisner, and he coached over 100 executives, completed at HYROX Nationals, and at 50 years old is in the best shape of his life. Things weren't always rosy for Greg, though. He's also been through alcoholism, depression, the loss of his father at a young age, hit rock bottom twice. And what he found on the other side of all this is the Midlife Mail, a digital media platform and weekly newsletter followed by over 45,000 men, middle-aged men who are done with just going through the motions and instead are ready to actually make the most of it. Today's conversation is about a move most men never make, right? Releasing instead of adding. Releasing the old titles, the ego armor, the relentless accumulation of achievement, and identities that no longer serve anyone.
Wake up to who you can be. Welcome to Men Talking Mindfulness.
Greg, great to have you. Welcome to Men Talking Mindfulness.
Hey guys, it's great to be here. I appreciate it. Thank you for shaving 3 years off of my age. I'm 53 now.
Oh, yeah.
If I was doing good at 50, man, I'm killing it at 53.
Yeah. Awesome. Welcome.
You're looking better than I am, and I'm 48 over here, brother. So you're killing it.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
You don't have to agree, Will.
Oh, sorry.
I got a buddy of mine. He always says to me, no matter what we are talking about, he goes, "We're doing better than most."
That's right. Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, right. Before we hit record, we were talking about, different people that we talked to about how to get to the next level. Well, there's people trying to get to our level, and there's people who are listeners to the show trying to get to there's people who are trying to get to our listeners' levels, right? So it just depends on where you're looking. Are you looking up or are you looking down? And it's a lot of the time we need to take a pause and just look down. Not look down. That sounds terrible. But look to where we've come from to where we are. Look back and I think give ourselves some credit. But that's not what the show's about. Greg, thanks so much for joining us here, brother.
Thank you, guys.
It's been a long time coming. I'm very excited about this. I am one of your newsletter readers, so I'm a fanboy here. But before we do that, man, the one breath grounding practice that we do for every show is just get settled into our bodies, our minds, our nervous systems, for both ourselves and our listeners, our audience, our community. So let's go ahead and get comfortable, whatever that looks like for you, for the three of us here and for the audience. And let's begin with a nice big exhale, really letting that go, emptying, and then holding empty for a second. And then a nice long, slow, deep breath in, filling all the way up and holding full and releasing. And as you release, just notice where you are, how you are, when you are. All right, y'all. Let's get into this. Will, brother, I'll kick it over to you to start.
Well, I mean, one thing I really enjoyed reading and studying about you, one of the things that you continually say is like midlife is not about reinventing yourself. It's about releasing yourself. So, most men in midlife, we're kind of in this accumulation mode, probably by habit in a lot of ways, more achievements, more identity projects or more self-improvement. So when did you realize that the real move was subtraction and not addition?
Yeah, it's a great. First of all, that was great. I didn't realize I was going to get a little breath session in there.
Yeah, I know, right?
Calm myself down. I'm a big proponent of breath work on a
Heck yeah.
basis. So that was great. What a great way to start. We could do more.
Man.
47. If 47, I found myself the same age as when my father passed away. I had success in all the traditional metrics from the outside looking in, successful business, beautiful wife and family and kids. And I just felt kind of mediocre that, is this it? You're doing all the things. Gone to school, you had got married, you got the house, you built a business, you failed in business, you succeeded again, and you kind of just kept going. And then the house got bigger, and then the car got fancier, and the schools got private, and the things and it's this accumulation, this kind of comparison and competition, of ascension and chase. And you get to a point where you realize, you kind of just look in the mirror and you go like, how did this happen? What kind of curse here? Like, what the fuck am I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we curse.
Like, is this it? Is this what it's all about? Do I care about any of these things? Or more importantly, like, what do I really care about? And, while I wouldn't wish a global pandemic on anybody, COVID happened to be one of the best things that happened to me and my family. And I
Ding,
found
ding,
this,
ding. Mhm.
so there was that period at 47 where I'm going, okay, I'm now alive a day longer than my father was. I've taken, and I could squander this or I could pour some rocket fuel on this to the next phase of my life. And when you strip everything away, like during a COVID time period, or when you get to that kind of tipping point or look in the mirror moment, you really have a choice of what it is that you want to bring back. And that's where I found myself, that more isn't better. Better is better.
Mm.
And what does better really actually look like? And what is truly important to me? And I just started to take a deep dive. And I'm not really a deep person, if you know what I mean. Like, just take a deep dive for me, which might be shallow and wide still, about what of these, in these areas of life, do I want to get better at? And what does better actually look like? And I'll give you an example. Family is paramount, for me.
Right. Same.
And so what does it look like to be a better husband, a better father, a better friend? Fitness, and health, longevity, sustainability. What does success look like in that? Finance, how much money do you need to do what you want with who you want, when you want, for as long as you want? What is this definition of wealth, if you will? Food and nutrition, what you put in your body. Even style, fashion was the thing for me. Like, what makes you feel confident? What makes you feel comfortable when you open up your closet? Like, what do I want in there? And then the last one was fun. Like, what's fun for me, and what kind of fun do I want to have? And guys, that became my 6 F's, this more holistic metric of success. And in every one of those areas, the answer that I came to, or the conclusion that I came to, was not more, it was actually less.
Yeah.
It was curating the better wardrobe, if you will, that made me feel like me. It was curating the foods that I wanted to put in my body and what I responded well to. It was curating and minimizing a health and fitness routine that was sustainable instead of just burnout and events and competition, and more. It was determining what financial success looked like, not just more money, but greater wealth overall, and freedom, and how to create that in the runway. All of these areas were opportunities to, for me, redefine what success looked like. And you talked about this earlier, whether it's looking down, looking around, looking up, but really it was a look within. It was, what do I actually want? Kind of screw what society says about success, or my coworkers or colleagues or business partners or my neighbors or the other dads that my kids go to school with, or that I've inherited these guys through Little League, or this thing or that. But like, what do I really want? And what does it really look like? And then most importantly, how can I implement that into my life? And how can I cut these distractions, or reduce these obligations that are not really obligations,
Self-imposed.
kind of like self-induced stuff, right?
Yeah.
And build a format, a midlife action plan for myself that I could follow, that was built around standards for me that actually worked. And that was 47 to 50, guys. That was a 3-year process.
Yeah.
Of working on myself through conversations and testing and retesting with other guys who, quite frankly, were doing it better than me.
Right.
And they were cool enough to share their knowledge, their wisdom, their experience, so that I could aggregate from everything I was learning, curate it down to what works for me, and eliminate the stuff that doesn't work. And that ACE principle has become a kind of founding principle of the work that I do with other guys now.
I love
Awesome.
it, man. Yeah,
What-
couple of things there, Greg. I think you had shared those F's before, and I think I commented whether it was on LinkedIn or wherever it was, I forget. But I literally put together something years ago. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see that, but I was reaching forward. But it's
Yeah, the
my
8 F's of mental health, I can see it. Mhm.
yeah. So the 8 F's of mental health. So faith, and whatever that looks like for you. Fitness, get up, move around. Family, lean on them. Friends, lean on them. Food, eat right. Focus, so find something to focus on. Finances, getting them under control. And fun, have some. So there's a lot
Yeah,
of lot of overlap.
and one thing I say all the time is that my F's don't have to be anybody else's F's. The point
Yeah.
here is you get to create your own. You can add
Right.
faith. You can separate family and friends. You can do
Yeah.
anything you want. You don't even need, you can expand to other letters of the alphabet that just happen to work.
All right.
From a marketing standpoint, in that regard,
Yeah.
that's the point about personalizing this,
Right.
and going through a set of questions,
Right.
that you can ask yourself to try to be able to draw conclusions from that. What's most important to me, I say knowing what's important is what's most important, call it rule number one. What's most important to me may not be most important to you or
Right.
somebody else out there. We get to decide that individually, but you got to know the answer to the question.
Hmm.
And by the way, what was most important to me in my 20s was not most important to me in my 30s,
Sure.
30s to 40s, if you will, and now 40s to 50s. And now in
Right.
my 50s and beyond, what's most important to me has also evolved and shifted in how I want to implement that. So looking at these windows in time also, I typically use, a 3-year window in my plans for, but
Hmm.
that's where I operate, in that 3-year window.
Right.
And, from that point, you can then update your, once you got a system, you can update the system.
Yeah.
Harder to
Yeah.
build the system to begin with. But
Right.
once you've got a system, now a lot of the other work I'm doing with guys is updating that system. Those quarterly reviews, the annual reviews.
Right.
You're
Right.
starting to get to the end of your 3-year plan.
Right.
What has happened and what does the next phase look
Right.
like? And the fun in this, and by the way, it's a lot of fun. I thought that this was going to be stressful and problematic and, so disciplined that it takes the fun away from things, or stringent
mm.
things. What I've actually found is that it's the opposite. The more structure and the more discipline you put in, the greater freedom and fun you actually have, because it opens up so much space and opportunity.
Right.
And to be like, the mediocrity happens by default, the maximization happens by design.
Right.
Once you've designed it and you're operating that way, what you actually find out is you feel a lot lighter, you feel a lot freer, you
Yeah.
have more fun and joy and opportunity in your life. And the irony here is, and now I'll land the plane, is that we talk maximization, but maximization really comes through minimizing, through
Right.
minimization.
Yeah. Right. Well, it's also like focusing on what matters, like identifying where you want to go, the goals you want to achieve, and then figuring out how you're going to get there. And a lot of things that I'm sure you're seeing it with the men that you work with, Greg, is people don't have that North Star. If you don't have that North Star, we almost accumulate more BS. So, we can just feel like we're actually doing something, or we're really not, we're standing in the same place typically.
Yeah, busy
Yep.
does not equal productive. And
Right. Right.
for 2, we covered rule number 1, knowing what's important is what's most important. Rule number 2 here is, if you don't know where you're going, you're never going to get there.
Right. Exactly.
You've got to have a map, and you can start again wide, but you got to narrow that funnel. You can start in your plan of saying, I'm going west and I'm making, but as you get closer and closer and moving out west, you got to narrow that down. Am I going Seattle west?
Yeah.
Am I in California west? Where am I going? Because that gives you that focus and truly that destination, that North Star.
Yeah.
A lot of start wide because they don't really know, but
Right.
as we start working, the shallow and wide starts to become narrow and deep over time when you gain clarity and focus, and you start making these little changes each day that start to compound. All of a sudden, where you're going and what you want becomes clear.
Well, the getting going, you need to know where you want to go, right? Like you just said, you're never going to get there if you don't know where you're going. But the other side is true. You're never going to get there if you don't know where you are, right? Like if you look at a map and you want to get from point A to point B, if you don't know where point A is, you're still never going to get to point B. So you got to do some of that deep introspective work and say, okay, who am I right here, right now? What do I hold dear? My ideals, my values, these types of things. I think that's important too, is knowing where you are, where you stand currently, so that you know where you want to get to. And then the delta between those two, what do you need to do to shore up that gap between where you are and where you want to be?
I think that's exactly right. I think you can't build on an unstable foundation.
Right.
And it's a great point of, people ask me, where's the starting point? And when to start? It's like, well,
Now.
Today is the best day to start. And if not today, it's tomorrow. And if it wasn't, it should have been yesterday. And if it's not yesterday, then it's today. But it's always the right time to start. But to your point, Jon, where do you start? And I think you've got to start by building that solid foundation. You got to know where you are. You've got to be honest with yourself. You talked earlier, Will, when we were getting on about, authenticity, in here and intention. Guys have to be honest with themselves about where they are at the moment. They're going to get started, because you might be 30 pounds overweight. You might be drinking too much. You might be in great shape, but have no money. You might have a lot of money, but be in poor shape. You might be, not be a great husband, or you might be a great dad, but you probably should work a little harder, like in your career. There are all these things, but stripping it down to really being honest with where you are this moment, that gives you that's where you start. I mean, you want to run a marathon, or pick anything. You want to run a marathon, there are proven training programs to run a marathon for wherever it is that you're going to start. You might need a 26-week training program if you're 240. If you're 240, haven't run before, you might need a year to get to that marathon.
Right.
You might start where you are, Jon. You might need 6 weeks from where you are today to be able to complete the marathon. Then do I want to run this at a 10-minute pace? Do I want to run this at a 7-minute pace? That requires a different. My point is that everything is measurable. And putting metrics around it makes it quantifiable. But to your point, you got to know where you're starting from.
Right.
And that'll give you the opportunity to create cadence, to create a schedule, to reverse engineer back from maybe the annual goal to the quarterly review, to the monthly, to the weekly, down to the daily positive action steps you need to take to hit that standard, or to reach that goal. And that's why I find that this works with guys. And the reason it works with guys is because what we're talking about here is running your life, or running your midlife like you run your business.
Yeah.
It's got to be measurable. It's got to be quantifiable. It's got to be honest. You can't set unrealistic projections or KPIs.
Right.
You've got to be able to actually do what you say you are going to do.
Right. Yeah.
Then go out and do it.
Yeah.
That's the hard part.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Jon's helped me. You said a long time ago, Jon, and it really helped me understand. It's like, if you can measure it, you can manage it.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, we work with a lot of our listeners, or, they've just like yourself, they've achieved all these accolades. Like they have the house, and maybe an extra house, or, they've checked a lot of boxes in the column of like, this is how your life should look like. And now they're like, oh, now what do I do? Right. And so it's like, you give them a good start. I mean, imagine like you give them a good starting point. And like what you're saying, Jon, it's like, you got to go within in order to go without, or to go out, to see what's on the outside. But the guys that you work with, Greg, it's like, what are the things, like maybe the 5 common things that you see with the men you've worked with that they need to let go of most often?
The number one thing is complacency.
Oh, to dive in there, please. That's like, that's big.
I think a lot of guys find themselves in a place where things are not really bad. They're not really, they're not really bad.
Yeah.
They're just kind of okay. And they get complacent. Do I want to work harder at this stage of my life? And for what? How much happier can I get versus how much less miserable, can I get? Or when I look around, I'm doing fine compared to everybody around me. The other guys complain, so it's okay for me to complain a little bit too. The other guys are 10 or 15 pounds overweight, so
Right. Oh
that's
my God.
okay.
Yeah.
The other guys, drink a little bit, after work, so I can too. The other guys aren't coaching Little League every season, or doing this, so, and they get complacent and accepting of the mediocrity of
Right.
it is what it is. I call it conformity, complacency, redundancy.
Mm.
And now you're in the masses, and the misery in the masses love company. You can hang out there for the rest of your life and quote unquote be fine.
Mm.
You'll
Or
have
not.
lots of company.
Or not.
Lots of company.
Yeah.
Right,
right.
exactly. And you won't be lonely over there. You may not be happy, but you won't be lonely.
Yeah.
And then you think about, well, wait a minute, what if I would actually like to be happier? And then you're afraid, well, if I do make these changes, well, maybe I'll be lonely then. And it's, because I don't have any friends like that, or
That's a
I
great
don't know where
point.
to go or what people to do with. My point on this is we all have choices. And you can shift from that conformity, complacency, and redundancy to anything you want. It's not only possible, but it's highly probable that you can change for the better. And it just comes down to the actions you take and the choices you make.
Mm.
And you're not going to be one. You've got to get past the fear of whether that's loneliness or losing a friend or doing something uncomfortable, because it's all out there for you. The relationships that I have now at 53, the vast majority of them I did not have in my 40s even.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've never walked into an empty gym, quite frankly. At any hour, go to the gym at 5 a.m., you'll see the people that are there at 5 a.m. Go to the gym at 5 p.m., you'll see people there at 5 p.m. Don't go to the gym at all, you'll never meet anybody in the gym.
Really?
If you want to talk about where you meet accepting people, interesting people, healthy people, make simple choices. I ask a very simple question, better one or better two? And by this, you could ask it all day long. Do I sleep in this morning or do I go to the gym? Better one or better two? Which one is going to ultimately give me a better outcome? Go to the gym. Do I swap a Coke for water? Which one is going to be healthier, for me? Do I kiss my wife good morning when I wake up, or do I just kind of roll out of bed and take a leak and ignore her because we've been married for 25 years? Which one is going to be better for our relationship? You could ask these questions over and over again. And if you just start making better choices, the majority of the time, the majority of your life gets better. So you want to break that cycle of conformity, complacency, and redundancy? Take one positive action step per day. Make one better choice at a time.
Right.
And those choices compound. That interest adds
for
up.
sure.
Yes. Hang on. Are you listening? My son just walked in. Okay. Better choices, one at a time each day. Yes, you can do it.
I like all the one-liners and the acronyms that you have. What was it? Conformity, complacency, and
Redundancy.
Yeah, CCR, the ACE. I love all this stuff, man.
The point is, I'm a simpleton.
Yeah, so am I.
I'm a simpleton, and oh, you're a SEAL, you're a military, you understand structure, standards, and all of this. I'm just an idiot, okay? I'm just a simple who's trying to improve in these areas. And the simpler I can make it for me to do, then my hope is that if I can do it, then other men can do it too. Because as a vastly unremarkable human, I feel like I'm doing as well as I can, which does not come without a lot of mistakes, a lot of missteps, a lot of trial and error, a lot of testing and retesting.
Yeah, exactly.
And then applying what I've learned and picking up to sharing those experiences with other guys. And then saying, from this, now you get to choose what may work for you and what doesn't work for you. But I can tell you, not drinking is better than drinking for me.
Yeah. And for most, I'd imagine.
Not saying you have to cut it out entirely, but for me, it's worked its way out of my life.
Nice.
And that works for me. I can tell you that sleeping 7 to 8 hours a night is a lot better than having this 24/7 sleep when I'm dead, kind of attitude of accomplishment. I can tell you that taking more time off has actually generated more capital and greater wealth than, again, hustling and grinding myself into the ground that created burnout, bitterness, resentment, competition. And all of these things came from, hey, like, you got to get kicked in the nuts like a bump.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, you
Well,
gotta.
humility, right? Humility, the humility of like reflecting, looking back, try again, try something else, try again. It's like, that's how we really begin to grow. And also that's the process also helping us to let go.
Yeah.
It just like, yeah.
There are decisions and choices that I've made that have made me a happier person, a healthier person, a better individual to be around. And there were choices that I was making in the past that made me an angrier person, a more bitter person, a hungover person, a softer, fatter person, like all these other things. And when you compare the actions and the activities and the behaviors and the standards or lack thereof, the stats don't lie. The things that you do actually tell you who you are.
I'm guessing you don't watch a whole lot of TV, but I'm gonna ask anyway. Are you familiar with the Apple TV show Your Friends and Neighbors?
Yes, so I am, and I'll tell you why. So the first question is I don't watch a lot of TV.
Yeah.
My wife watches a lot of TV. She's a tremendous binge watcher on series like Netflix, Apple TV, all that. So I've gotten a little bit more like now that we're empty nesters, like we get into bed earlier and okay. And I fall asleep way before she does. Then I'm good with the TV. Anyway, I digress. But Your Friends and Neighbors, we are watching it. Your Friends, it is how I grew up, actually.
So that's
It's very traumatizing.
Oh,
because
really?
on the North Shore of Long Island, and where that show is filmed in New York. I grew up on the North Shore of Long Island. I grew up in a place where I always say like there was nowhere to go but down.
Oh,
it was
wow.
everything that you see on that show. It was that out to the Hamptons and in the city. And
Right. Wow.
and Amanda Peet, who's in that show, was the lead in the first movie that I produced too.
Oh, no shit. Really?
Yeah, same age, and it's great to see her having all the success at 53 and everything that she's doing. So I watch that show and I get tremendous agita.
Yeah.
Like as a North Shore of Long Island, Jewish entitled wealthy boy who grew up this way, I'm like, oh, like I get like this show it gives me like palpitations and
Wow.
it's hard. I don't know where we're going with this.
Okay,
but
so
what do you want me to take away from this? But
So-
it sends me back to my therapist.
Oh, man.
We don't want you to have a panic attack, Greg. Okay, we gotta calm.
We'll calm down. Let's take another breathing exercise.
Yeah.
So where I was going with that, and for those of you who are not familiar, and Will, I saw you shaking your head.
It's
so
great.
Maybe you watch it. It's freaking
It's fun.
I love it.
It's fun.
But yeah,
I like
I also look at those people. Some of who knows, maybe some of them are our listeners, and I don't want to necessarily negatively.
They're
speak, but-
characters, John.
but
It's okay.
well,
you can make fun of them all you
okay,
want.
let's just talk about the characters, not who they
Right.
represent. For those of you who are not familiar, basically it's very rich people, and this one guy has been doing exactly what we talked about earlier in the show. It's just been accumulating success, right? He started doing well for himself. He bought himself a nice house, bought himself a nice car, bought himself a nicer house, bigger house, blah, 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 and it just continually escalated. And Greg, you talk about that facade of success, right? Living that life that others think that you should have. Well, a lot of the time we get caught up in that cycle. We celebrate ourselves. Okay, well, hey man, we got the car, we got the watch, we got the house, we got whatever, we got the trophy wife. How does a man even know when he's doing that, right? And if he's been doing it his whole adult or shit, even his whole life, right? I mean, I started. Now, granted, I don't have the house in the Hamptons, but I started chasing success when I was very young, when I was rewarded for success, right? I did well in school and I got told, attaboy. And I'm all about that. I want to tell my kids, great job. But really, I've learned that you want to tell them, hey, that's great work, not congratulations on achieving the goal, but congratulations on all the work that you put in. Celebrate the work, not the reward. But anyway, that's another whole conversation. But I guess really where I'm going with is how does a man even know when he's caught in this rat race?
It's very hard. I think it's a great point, because while you're in the soup, so to speak, it's very challenging and hard to look outside. And what transpired in that show, and what transpires in life for a lot of men, is that their identities are so wrapped up in
Yeah, exactly.
their career and the title, and the accumulation. And when you lose that, it becomes, it's who are you in there? When you don't have that hedge fund, if you will, or big fund, on the business card, and then it's like you start to realize, and I've had this twice, when it just is your name, not associated with either the bigger company or the surrounding partnership or whatever it is, your identity, you start to really question who you are. So how do you do it? I'll tell you, in my experience, the ways that it hit me right between the eyes was, something has to happen to you. Like, just like it happened to the John Hamm character in that book, something has to happen to you. You have to get fired. You have to get a health scare. You have to have a trade gone horribly wrong. You have you have to lose a family member, okay, who's close to you, or something, at least in my case, those are things that happened. Lose a business, get fired, lose a close family member. I had to, move out of state. I moved from New York to Texas, moved 1,200 plus miles away to start seeing a different perspective of how other people live, get outside of the bubble, if you will. And I would hope that doesn't have to be the case for everybody, that you have to wait for something traumatizing or traumatic or tragic, or, the wake up call that becomes very hard to wake up from, or you don't get to wake up from it at all. But that hasn't been my personal experience. And I know a lot of people that are still, I think, in those situations, situations and circumstances that I say can either defeat us or define us. And they don't know how to get out of that kind of defeatist mentality. They're succeeding by all the metrics, but they feel defeated.
Yeah.
So how do you walk away from that big job? How do you step back? How do you create other boundaries for yourself? I'll give you an example. I have a friend right now, a close personal friend, and he's on Wall Street, and at the pace that he's going to die at his desk.
Yeah. He hasn't let go.
You can see it coming from a mile away. And what is the point of having all this money if you have no freedom? There are two things. Warren Buffett said it. It's like, what's the point of having all this money if you don't have any freedom? And then what's the point of having all this freedom if you don't have any money? Okay.
Right. Yeah.
What is, somehow you have to figure out, the middle is messy, but the middle is the sweet spot.
Yeah.
And a lot of what we're talking about here is, how do you master the middle?
Yeah. The middle way.
And watching his friend, I'll give you an example. His kids had college graduation 2 weeks ago, and he had to fly out to where they were at school to go to graduation. And he had to he shipped 2 monitors, a full financial computer terminal, to the hotel. So he could, the entire time that he was out there.
Yeah, he's in it. He's in it.
Barely attend the graduation, if you will.
Right.
Ouch.
Couldn't take off time.
Right.
Didn't see that he could take off that kind of time.
Yeah. Right.
That's a fucking problem.
It's a big problem. And I bet this friend of yours, Greg, if I may ask, like, is he kind of like compromising his physical well-being, and kind of like isn't such in great shape, is compromised on his sleep, probably drinks a lot? I mean, is he kind of fall into that man that we kind of talked about earlier?
He's worked through a lot of that, where no longer drinks, eats very healthy.
Okay, good.
Regained as much of his health in a way as possible, and takes on a pretty significant health, big hike every, and fantastic human, is doing the best he can with all of this. But the question becomes, I think, going back to, your root question, how do guys know? How do guys work their way out of this situation or circumstance that they've gotten into, and how do they do that? And the answer is not always just go quit your job, up and quit your job tomorrow. And in middle age, that can be one of the most irresponsible things that you can do when you do have the tuitions and the mortgages and the other things. But you do need to, again, make a plan. If you are at that point where, hey, this is not working for me, for whatever the reason is, you may not like, the people that you're working with. You may be overworked. You may be burnt out. You may have another calling that you want to actually explore. It may be taking its toll on your marriage or your relationship with your kids, whatever tipping point you get to, or a culmination of them. And for me, it was always a culmination. It was never like one specific thing. It was like, oh, there's a few things and now they're adding up and now it's getting to, okay, that's combustible, in there.
Yeah.
You have to then, again, make a plan for how you're going to navigate out of this situation. Might be 30 days. It might be 6 months. It might be 2 years. But making that plan, that's when the possibility starts to come into play. The positivity of, again, now I have a goal or a destination. My destination is to navigate out of this position to get to this place. And in order to do that, I might need a certain amount of money saved because that I can explore the next potential career move or job move or cover my overhead. Or I need to be able to have this conversation about reducing my hours or actually taking my vacation days instead of just leaving them on the table every year. Whatever it might be, you have to create a plan for that. And having that plan gives you back some control.
Yeah. Right.
And having some control changes the mindset and the feeling that you can go into work with every day. Like I said earlier, for me, that was 47 to 50. That was a 3-year period of navigating my way out of one business and into another phase of my life. But had I just up and quit at 47, when I decided I didn't want to go back into the building anymore and I was unhappy and all this shit needed to change, I would have put myself in an even worse position. You think you're unhappy at 47 when you're making good money and you're a partner in a firm and your kids are in private school. And think you're unhappy then? Imagine you are. How much more unhappy you are when you walk out the door the next day and they stop sending money. And you haven't really thought about how long you can last, and how you're going to do this. And you don't have the next phase or the next thing kind of planned out. Yeah. So I think a lot of guys need to be guarded from themselves.
Yeah. Talk about a panic attack. That would send me.
Decision. Don't make a galactically irresponsible move based on impulse or how you're feeling, but make a plan. And in order to make that plan, you may need to work with a coach. You may need to work with a therapist. You may need to have a friend. You may need to listen to guys like you, whatever it might be. But you got to figure out responsibly how to make that plan and execute on that plan so that you're not flying blind and making a big mistake for yourself and for your family. Because again, what we draw about obligations. We have obligations. We have situations and circumstances that we have put ourselves in. And you cannot just unwind that immediately. You can't just flip that switch. You're not 20 something and single and nobody gives a shit, and you could, this isn't hurting anybody else.
Right. Well, someone might be listening and they're like, oh, this sounds great. Listening to a podcast, it sounds great when I read in a book or your book, and it's just like, but then when they start to actually take the steps, like they're like, wow, this is like a complete overhaul. Like your identity begins to change. Like I changed my life when I was 30 and I remember getting up, it was June 3rd, 2003. And I did feel I had this job for 6 years that I fucking hated. Like the money was okay, but I always keep me stapled and stuck to something that didn't mean anything in my heart or my soul or matter in any way really in my life other than just to pay my bills, that I was accumulating more stuff that I didn't even care about. But as I was going through that process of transformation, like I lost a lot of friends along the way. Like my identity really needed to change because I needed to find my identity. So men that might be listening, in this middle age time in their lives, it's like, how do you walk them through that, that fear of like, what, it's going to be okay when you get to the other side, but we have to go on this journey in order to get there.
Yep. I think one of the things is take a look around also. Look at men like you guys and go, look at guys that are relatable, credible, and ultimately aspirational. Because every one of us started somewhere. and every one of us guys that you can look at. And we always have somebody that we can look at that at the very least appears to be where we may want to go, or we want to do, that we can do. And I'm not talking about the Tom Brady's of the world, or the LeBron James, or even the Andrew Huber, the big. I'm talking about it's cool. I like celebrity and stuff like that too. And those guys are doing a lot. You can learn a lot from the GOAT and all these other guys out there. But at the same time, like, not as relatable in a lot of ways to a lot of guys.
Yeah.
And we want to strip down the excuses. We want to start to eliminate the shortcuts and and other stuff, and go, just look for guys that are relatable, credible, and slightly aspirational to where you are.
Mm-hmm.
And know that every one of those guys, in order to get where they are, and if you can see yourself in them today, tomorrow, 6 weeks from now, 3 years from now, if you can see a little bit of you in them, then it is possible. It's possible. And yes, you can listen to all the podcasts, you can read all the books, you can do that. And I'm going to tell you, my stuff included, it doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter. Knowledge, okay, does not make you better.
Mm-hmm.
Application of knowledge makes you better.
Right.
You have to do something. You have to produce more than you consume.
Right.
They listen to you, Jon and Will, and you give them the greatest insight in the world. And you walk them through exactly, I'm asking, what you are going to do today, what you did yesterday. And they don't do it. It doesn't matter. Listening to somebody talk to you about doing push-ups is not the same as doing push-ups, okay? Talking about these things is not the same as doing.
Right.
It can be helpful. It can be insightful. It can be educational. It can be fucking correct.
Yeah.
You don't do anything with it.
Right.
It doesn't matter. And I think that's a big issue for a lot of people out there, male, female, middle-aged or not. It doesn't make a difference. They consider the consumption the act of actually improvement and betterment. There's so much self-help out there because there's so many people that need it.
Right.
And they start to get paralysis by analysis. They keep consuming, listening, and then they never really pick a horse. Like, who do I listen to? And this person contradicts this person, and this book contradicts this book. And this guy says to sleep like this, and this guy says to sleep like that. And this guy says you should be in the cold, and this guy says you should never go in the cold. And this guy says you should track everything, and this guy says you shouldn't track anything. You gotta just pick a horse.
Yeah, there you go.
You gotta do things.
Right.
And I think those are the questions. And I'll ask you right now, if the guys that are listening right now out there, what are you doing today, Jon and Will? Like, what's on your schedule? What are you like? Are you going to work out today?
Yep. Right after this.
Okay. What time did you wake up?
5:30.
I got up a little later today. Yeah, 6. But yeah.
So what do you do? You're going to train today in some capacity.
Mm-hmm.
You're to record a show, at least one. Right? What else are you going to do today? Like, what's on your calendar today?
Yeah. I mean, I had a meeting in order to kind of sort through our guest contact, reach out to bigger guests, and keep growing the show. I had that meeting. I was working on just the notes to kind of have a good conversation with you today. I had time with my girlfriend in the morning just because she was here, and I want to spend time with her, and that was important to me. And, I'm working on after this, and, tomorrow's already set as well. You bring up a really great point, Greg. I mean, one thing I want to say about, because I know you're going with this, it's like, I set my schedule, either at least one day, if not days before. So, which is really helpful, because when I get out of bed, I know exactly what I'm doing, but also it pulls me out of bed, because I know it's like, if I usually get up at 4:30, if I'm up at 4:30, I have this little hour, 45-minute block where I'm, breathing, meditating, moving, and hydrating. And then I start my first block of work for that first hour. But it's like, I'm really, Jon and I working on some really great stuff. We have a whole month that we have planned out, and we just keep checking those boxes. We also have each other to kind of check in, to make sure things are going how we want, but also to check on with each other. But
so
please,
standards, behaviors,
Yep.
accountability partner.
Yes.
This, when you start going, okay, so girlfriend, call it family, in
Yeah,
there.
family. Yeah.
Relationship, that's quality. Fitness, you get a workout in.
Hell yeah.
Finance and work, you're recording the show, you're building a business in there.
Exactly.
Categorically, these are the things, like I say, show me your calendar, I'll show you your priorities. Like,
Yeah.
day, does your calendar reflect what your priorities are, what your values are,
Right.
what your standards are? If so, proceed, keep doing it. If not, you're full of shit, okay? And
Right.
these things have to align. What you say you want to do and what you're actually doing, the proof is in whether you did it or not. And it's not to be, again, to be a hard driving militant, if you will, guy. I'm not that. It's basically just to say matter of factly, you either did it or you didn't.
Hmm.
And every time I've done something that I said I was going to do, that was good for me, my life got better. I didn't always do it well.
Yep.
I didn't always get the result that day, or that moment of what I wanted, but making a series of good decisions led to better, good results over time.
Yep.
If I say that I'm going to spend time with my children, I have to be able to show you where I'm spending actual time with my children. It doesn't matter if I write it in my plan, if I don't do it or find reasons to not do it or make excuses to do it. If I say I'm going to train a certain number of times per week, I actually have to do that, put it on my calendar and not blow it off to take some other random meeting or whatever it is. But dude, it doesn't have to be the best workout of all time.
Right.
Every
Just get
single
there.
day.
Yeah.
You just have to stack these little wins. And I think people are fixated on motivation. They're fixated, on quotes, and even acronyms and all the shit that we were talking about. You just have to focus on action.
Right.
None of us are motivated all the time.
Right. Right.
It's
Yep.
action. You get up and you do it anyway, overall. And you try to find ways to also, I hope, make it fun and make it enjoyable is a big thing. Because I don't really care what you do for activity in your workout. Find a thing that's fun for you. Find something that's sustainable for you. And if you don't know what that is, try something different every day for the next, 30 days or so.
Right.
Find
Right.
something. Don't like running? Walk. Don't like
Right.
walking on concrete? Find a hill, or something to do. Perhaps get in the pool, pick up a guitar, paint a picture. Like, you can do anything in any of these areas. It's like beating a dead horse, but you just have to actually do something.
Agreed. Yeah. I mean, you get that flywheel effect too. Like you begin to, you check the box. I'm like, oh, wow, I did that. Oh, what else can I do? What else can I do? And that's, we talked about, Jesse Isler's, big ass calendar and it's like, that's like, when you have it in front of you, it really makes a big difference, especially when you're going after something. You have to chunk it down to the small steps. If that's just even just becoming more healthy, and like you said, it's just like if you don't know exactly what kind of physical activity and fitness that you want to be a part of, like
You said
go
it.
try a bunch of things on. Just get out there, put that on your calendar, let that just sit there. But like figure my fitness stuff out by showing up at whatever studio or gym or whatever training exercise or something like that. That's how it
I
goes.
like being given orders, if you will. I like being kind of told what to do. Back to the fact that I'm a simpleton. I use the golden retriever. You throw the ball, I'm going to bring it back to you. That's good I like that sort of thing. So again, the calendar works for me. Not having too much time to really think, but rather just get more into the rhythm of doing. So we'll give you an example. I'm in LA right now. And the reason we're in LA is because my son has a job out here now. He goes to school out here and he wanted to stay out here and he got this job. So if I want to see my son, I got to go where he is. So we rented a little place and I'm building my schedule around where I can spend time with him each day, even if whether that's breakfast or a dinner, and then he goes to work and I work. But what are the other fundamentals that are here? So like, where can I exercise when I'm here? So I just Google, okay, gyms within a 2-mile radius of here. And I don't really care what I'm going to do while I'm here. I just care that I do it. And I don't want to be alone. And because left to me without a plan, I won't do it because I'm not that motivated.
Right. Yeah. Well,
I'm
you
gonna
know
just
yourself.
drop down. I don't like dropping down in my living room and like, I'm going to do push-ups and squats. Like I'm like, fuck that. I'll come on the TV and I'll watch basketball, or do anything.
Yeah.
So I need So I will literally Google places that are nearby. I don't really care about the modality, and I will schedule my classes in advance. I will buy my little drop-in classes or whatever. And now I'm like, okay, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I know where I'm going to go be. I don't care if it's the best workout in the world. I care that it gets done overall. And I'll schedule it. And okay, so now I have the free time in the middle of the day. So now we could get this podcast done. And then I'm going to write for the newsletter. And then, but it's got to be on the calendar.
Yes.
So that I can go from one to the next, including building in the free time. Okay, I would like an hour or two of free time during the day so that I don't burn out. But strategically, where is it? Now I don't resent the free time anymore. I think I'm slacking off because it's by design. I got my family time in. I got my fitness time in. I got my work in. This is good for my brand. It's good to meet guys like you. Then I'll get my writing in. The newsletter will come out on time. Then I can have my free time. And then I can have dinner with my son. So it's like, what boxes are we checking here each day?
Yeah. Well, one thing about the calendar, I think that's really powerful. And I can't remember the stats, John, but it's like if you say you're going to do something, you have like a 20% chance of doing it. If you put it on your calendar, you have like a 60% chance of doing it. If you actually have an accountability buddy and have somebody that you say like, hey, I'm going to do this, you have it's like 90% that you're going to get it done. So it's just like, this is the math. Talked about if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. Like this is like maybe a way that men that are out there listening that want to make some changes or just like don't know how to start or are scared a little bit. It's just like, just this is like what the goal that we're putting into this conversation. It's like, you can do it. It's just a matter of like, just start. What's the first stone that you need to knock down?
You've got to take that action step, and you've got to also try to remember, get past the fear.
Yeah, totally.
Everything's on the other side of that fear.
No shit.
The fear that I'm going to look stupid, or the fear that I'm not going to have any friends, or the fear that this isn't going to go well, or the fear that I'm not going to be able to do that thing or whatever. That's real. It's valid.
Yeah.
It's valid. We all get apprehension. We all get nervousness, or we get a degree of anxiety, and we have fear of other things. On the other side of that fear is the joy, possibility, probability,
freedom.
Freedom, accomplishment, achievement. I don't say hope because hope isn't a strategy.
Hope's not a plan. Exactly.
It's not a plan. But there's some certainties that I can tell you. When I go online and I find that gym or that class and I pay my $55 for my 3 classes this week and I get my free smoothie that comes with it or whatever, here's what I know is a certainty. I will not be alone in any of those classes.
Yeah.
I do not know anybody at the minute that I walk in the door. I'm in Los Angeles, California, but I could promise you at the end of that hour, I will know somebody. I will not have been there alone.
There you go.
I feel better about having got it done, and I will have met somebody. And you can do that anyway. That can be a hobby. That could be fitness. That can be a run club that you want to join. That could be an online. It could be anything.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to be willing to get outside of your comfort zone.
Exactly.
Take and then that's where it gets interesting. Oh, I'm not alone here.
Yeah.
I actually can do this.
Yeah. I haven't died by making a different choice today, but I'm sorry. Yes.
And I met somebody. And by the way, I don't have to be friendly with everybody here either. I don't have to even join this community. There's a whole other misnomer of like, oh my God, I got to join these communities and I got to be friends with everybody. And I don't even like people and I'm not a joiner. It's like, no, you don't have to do that either. You know what you can also do? You can just go take the class and fucking leave, okay?
That's normally what this guy does. The introvert in me. I go, show up, don't talk to a single person, and then leave. But hey, I got the workout in.
Yeah, he just keeps texting me.
I call them single serve friends also.
Yeah, that's like what was Fight Club, right?
You have a very specific purpose, okay?
Yeah.
I know you from the gym. You give me a spot, then I leave. We never talk about our kids. We just do this to each other like every time. Single serve friend. And you know what? I know when I go, I'm going to see you there. That makes me feel good. But we're not wrecking this relationship with any other closeness or any
right.
And those things are okay too.
Yeah.
So point on all this is bring some levity to it.
Thank you.
Some intentionality to it, obviously, but bring some levity to it. Don't take it so seriously. Don't look at things like discipline, calendar management, the choice of transformation. Don't look at these things as so monumental, that you
Heavy.
end up getting, again, fearful or scared to take the single step because destination seems so far away or the behavior seems so foreign to what you're doing now. Just think about the little thing you can do today or tomorrow.
Yeah.
All I have
Great
to
point.
do is get to the sunrise. If I wake up early, and by the way, I'm not an early riser like you guys are. Like, you can do that. Like, I'm a guy and I don't train super early. But my point is, there are lots of ways to be successful. If that works for you to wake up before the sunrise, or that's required based on your schedule, go for it. If you can sleep till 7, 8, or 9 and still get everything done, and now, great. Like I said, the 7 a.m. class has as many people in it as the 7 p.m.
Yeah.
It does. It's just what fits for you and what fits for your lifestyle. Keep it loose. Don't overthink it.
Yeah.
We already know the answers to the tests. It's the basics over the biohacking, all of these things. It's the fundamentals. It's the simplicity that's not sexy.
It's a
But
consistency,
it
right?
works.
Yeah. The consistency of just keep doing, fail forward. Like, it's going to get messy. It's going to be super messy in the beginning. So,
I learned from I learned from guys like you, guys that are leading from the front, that have done things that I have not done and could never do, like you, Jon. And thank you for your service and everything. Like, I get inspired by this stuff.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that.
And that to me moves the needle. Find people that inspire you, and then go do that to the best version of you that you can.
Well, first, thank you. We interviewed a fellow SEAL,
Clint Bruce.
Well, Clint, he had a saying for when people said, "Thank you for your service." He's flipped it around and said, "Thanks for being worth it," which I think is
he's
cool.
a funny guy.
Yeah, he's great. He's also got a lot of great one-liners like you do.
Oh
Greg.
my God. And acronyms.
I want to close with this, if it's okay, and then give you a chance to plug everything that you're doing there, Greg. But I think I read somewhere that you wrote a list to your son with like 100 things to make him a better man. On that list, there's no shortcuts, right? Like, be accountable. A lot of what we've talked about today, like stay in shape, learn how to deal with people. What made you write that list? What were some of the other things that were on it? What would you say maybe the top 5, top 10 that are on there for our listeners?
Yeah. I wrote it because I never got it.
It hit me. I heard that. I felt that. Yeah, I mean,
wasn't unfortunately around long enough to make that list. But my dad was a letter writer.
Your dad passed away in 93 or something like that, right? You were a younger man. Yeah, younger man.
He was 47. I was 17.
Right. Yeah, that's
wow.
So I never got that list from him. Unfortunately, a lot of, I think, missed mentorship moments. And I had as much of him as possible, and he was wonderful through 17 years, which is not nearly long enough. And he was a wonderful letter writer and communicator. But what made me write that list is that I never got one. And because of that, it's one of the reasons that I have also been inspired to have other conversations with great men who are out in front, men that have had more opportunities and time to learn from their fathers, from their mentors, their advisors, from their own experiences out there, to try to, at least for me, fill some of that void of what I didn't get to experience or didn't get to learn, from the fatherly advice side of things. So I've tried to accumulate that from a lot of other men. And because I've been somewhat flying blind for a lot of years as a father also, and husband, what could I do to be a better father for my kids? Who could I learn from? And how could I give them what I thought that I missed and make the most of my presence again in there. So that's why I did it and I put it together. And I'll say this, I would say 90+% of what is in that list of 100 or so things that are in there. And the first one I did was when my son was 18. So it was like, 18 in life to go. You're now an adult. And after the Skid Row song, I stole their title, and I'm like, yeah, I'll do this for my son. And then he'll read it and everything. I don't even know if he's read it. Give these for your kids. And you realize like your kids don't think you're cool no matter what, like you cry all the time and hug them and tell them all the things that I want to do that never were happening for me. And they're like, okay, they allow me to live vicariously through them in these areas about the dad side of life. And where I'm going with it is, I wanted them to have something, I wrote it for my older son when he turned 18, but I have a younger son who's a couple years younger, but I wanted them to have something that I thought was meaningful and impactful and that they could refer back to. That also didn't really, I put it together, but it didn't really come from me. 90+% of what is in there came from other men. These are not all my quotes. These are not all my original Gregisms at all. These are wonderful quotes and statements from other men that have made an impact on me that I think are all valuable, and put in a compilation that we give away, by the way. If you subscribe to the newsletter, I can just give it away right now also. And that's what it is, learn and take from smarter people. And use the material and credit them accordingly, and then pay it forward and pass it on. But I think they're also very simple and very common sense and very basic,
I think
oriented, which is the part also to me that stands out.
Yeah.
Some of the favorites, like, looks very simply, look people in the eye.
Yeah.
Have a good handshake.
Yeah.
Take calculated risk in life. Back to, be a good person and what a good person means overall. How you treat women and friends in your life. It was along the lines of values and standards of how you want to be perceived and how you ultimately perceive yourself.
I think that latter part's the more important, right? How you perceive yourself ultimately, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think the other point is 100 is a long list also. But just like these conversations, and you've had hundreds of them, and I've now had hundreds of them, we go back to, if you pull 2 or 3 things from a list of 100, great.
Yeah.
That's 2 or 3 more things that are going to help you in your life. And if you have to do 100 to realize that 97 of them don't apply to you, fine also. Keep the 3 that work, for you. If I have to have 200 conversations with men to be able to pull 20 or 30 things that are at the core of how I want to operate in life, great. Every conversation has taught me something, even if it's taught me something that I don't want to do.
Yeah. It's still learning. It's
I think
still
that's
an education.
Just as important to learn what you don't want to do as it is to learn what you do want to do.
Subtraction and the maximization is really through.
Right. Wow. Bringing it full circle for sure.
Yeah, on there too, because I think you guys are absolutely right about that. Minimum effective dose, in all
100%.
of these things. More is not better. Better is better. Quality will be quantity over time.
Right.
The basics will be biohacking, the people is sexy. And we can go down. These are the things that are on that list when you look at value standards and you wake up in the morning, and I reread these things because you've got to remind yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because life gets complicated is easy. Burnout easy. Overscheduling, saying yes, all these things are so easy. Hard is saying no politely. Hard is sticking to the value system. Hard is keeping it simple. The stuff we get into some real juicy conversations with both guys that are in middle age and, the 2 young men that I'm trying to raise into positive young men, contributing into society at a time where it's very hard for both of these demographics.
Indeed.
Middle-aged men are struggling.
Yeah.
And young men are struggling. And there's a gap there. Because the middle-aged men who are struggling, who's helping them? And if the middle-aged men are struggling, they're having a hard time.
We're the ones helping.
And
and how are they going to help the youngsters? It's like, well, this has been awesome, Greg. If there's anything else to close this up, or please, tell us about your newsletter and where we can find you. And
No, look, I
I love it.
appreciate you guys very much. Thank you for letting me, talk on this one. We're both we operate, all of us, on different sides of the mic. Sometimes I'm the other asking the questions, and other times I get to answer a bunch of the questions. So thank you
Yeah.
very
No,
much for the
100%.
opportunity. Midlife Mail newsletter. That's it. That's where we're reaching. Now we're over 50,000 subscribers.
Nice.
We're the only publication out there that I know about that is by midlife men for midlife men. So we are narrow and deep into this demographic.
Awesome.
And if you are a guy looking to live happier and healthier and wealthier and stronger and have more fun in middle age, subscribe. It's free. And I hope you enjoy the columns and what we're talking about and the interviews and the access and reviews that we're putting out there. And that's where you learn about everything. We're doing some events and experiences and that I think are awesome for guys, and back to just providing opportunity and choices. So Midlife Mail newsletter. I work with guys, one-on-one. You can find all that through the newsletter as well. That's really the place. And we're doing events and experiences periodically throughout the year. So you can come and join us if you want to know that place to start. Maybe it's starting by doing something that you never thought you could do before. And you come back feeling great at the end of an awesome weekend and going, oh, this is the beginning of something different. So thank you guys.
Thank you, Greg and Will. Thanks, brother, for putting this together and making it happen for all of us. Greg, fantastic show. We really appreciate you and everything that you've shared. And for our audience, thanks for tuning in. We know for a fact you got something out of this. So share it with your friends, your family, and all those other F's that are on that list, which I got to come back to, by the way, real quick. Whenever I show my wife that one, she says, fishing should be on the list.
Yeah, fishing should.
And then I say, fucking should be on the list.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'm very glad you went there, because I was just about to say, well, I hope my wife would say fucking on the list.
Yeah, exactly.
A whole nother
Fishing and
conversation about a 56-year-old posting up also one being married for 25 years. We could do 2 hours on that.
Fucking in midlife. That's our next episode of you, Greg. Fucking in midlife.
That's where we're gonna. We can end it on that one and be like, stay tuned for a whole.
Stay tuned. That's right. All right. Well, on that note, thank you so much again, Greg, Will, and for our audience. Thank you guys for tuning in. Until next time, everyone. Take care. Bye bye.
Yeah, thank you, Greg. Thank you, everybody. Absolutely.